Geopolitically, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sippin' pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They forcing misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature to mean extorted it. They forging it. If news anchors informant to informing them there's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we porting ships, important gifts. Of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informing this, informing this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real?
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? I realized that every once in a while people hit me up to support the channel on Cash App, and I never shout them out. So I've gotten like 3 in the last couple weeks, but I'm going to read them. So shout out to Steven. You're a legend. Thank you very much for the donation on Cash App. Jennifer, thank you very much for the donation on Cash App. You're a legend. Much appreciated. And Mark, thank you very much for the donation on Cash App. Much appreciated. Less Grabbled. So yeah, if you want to support the channel, links in the description. XRP, Cash App, blah, 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 blah. All right, so we're going to talk about the mark. What's up, everybody? Yo, yo, yo. Gang, gang. All right, everybody. I'll just get into it. So, of course, many people know about the Star of David. Let's see here. Share. So we're going to get into it. Of course, we got, here you go, Star of David. Now, this is every Hebrew letter fits into the Star of David. I saw this on Owen's stream. Quite fascinating, right? Every single Hebrew letter fits within the Star of David, which is pretty interesting. And so he made a point, and I don't disagree with it, right? There's nothing inherent. I'm not on D Live. Are you sure? Oh my gosh, what's going on? All right, just a second. It says I'm live, but I'm not. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm supposed to be. It says I'm live, but clearly I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to fix that. I'm like a boomer on the internet, bro. Yeah, I don't know. Lo siento. Maybe it'll work next time. I don't know what else to say. So anyway, I'm not gonna like end the stream to go live and try it again, you know. So sorry. But anyway, yeah, there's nothing inherently wrong with this symbol, right? But it's been heavily grappled. So, of course, beware of those in the end who claim to be a certain group, but are in fact the synagogue of Satan, right? Now, the Star of David was, became infamous with the little grappled history of World War II. So much stuff was accomplished in World War II. We're just going to come out guns blazing. So, the little secret king that comes and stalks my channel for YouTube, keep it pushing, bro. Just go try and find a girl or something, bro. So that's where they attributed this negative connotation to the Aryan race. And there's plenty of gravy there. I'm going to do another stream on that. But another one is, of course, they made everyone identify themselves with the Star of David, right? Which has served as justification for this victim mentality. And actually, that's detrimental to that group of people, right? Victimhood. And of course, this resulted in the foundation of the state of Israel, spearheaded by the Rothschilds. So World War II was, a psychological operation, and a lot of things were accomplished with it. And so when people see this symbol, they immediately think about the Star of David. Now, that is not in any way the origin of this. It has nothing to do with David at all. Like nothing. Okay. And actually many of these little rabbis, they contest that this has anything to do with Judaism and that it's not mentioned specifically in even Kabbalah or the Talmud, whatever. So who cares? We're going to get to where the mark really came from, the seal. And again, it has nothing to do with David. So let's just get into it. So we have right here, Revelations 13. Come on down here. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. There is an interpretation as if this isn't physical and it's just like a spiritual mark. That's one of the few things I disagree with probably Alexandrion. I think it's very literal, very physical. Okay, so I would say, yeah, there's going to be a physical mark. And that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. So this right here, this little preface, the wisdom part, that excludes 99.9% of modern Christianity. Let's just be real. Let him that hath understanding, once again, excludes modern Christianity for the most part. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 606, threescore, and 6. So 666. Okay, well, what character in the Bible is 666 attributed to? There's only one. It's attributed to him more than once. And this would be none other than Solomon. Now, the weight of gold that come to Solomon in 1 year was 600, threescore, and 6 talents of gold. And then we're told this another time in the canon as well. Okay, so there's only one character ever that is attributed to having the number 666 attributed to his name. Again, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, this is where it gets pretty gravy filled. The grabblers, the elite, the so-called elite, the powers that shouldn't be little secret kings, secret special boys, they want to rebuild Solomon's temple, right? And again, his number is 666. So to not even consider the connection between Solomon and 666 makes no sense whatsoever. Like he was given 666 talents of gold every year. It just tells you straight up. Now, what was the seal of Solomon? That is the picture. That's the thumbnail, right? So the seal of Solomon, right here. That's what this is. This is the seal of Solomon. People call this the Star of David. It is the seal of Solomon. Okay, so the seal of Solomon, 666. Now a certain group that claim to be a certain group of people, but in fact are the synagogue of Satan, they now run around with this attributed to them. So surely you're putting those pieces together. Now, I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures. This is from all around the world throughout history. Bam. Seal of Solomon. Seal of Solomon. Oh, another Seal of Solomon. Another Seal of Solomon. Now, this is Pythagoras. Did he even exist? I don't know. Super grabbled. But all is number, right? And so there's no religion higher than truth. You got the snake coming around. Now, you see the little symbol up above it, right? The swastika, a very demonized symbol. Again, World War II was useful propaganda-wise and psyop-wise for numerous things. It demonized the swastika, which is derivative of the sky. It's nothing more than an acknowledgement of the sky. And throughout history, when you find this Seal of Solomon, you always find the swastika nearby. Okay? Here's some more. This was recognized around the world. Now, of course, if you know that all of these polytheistic religions actually derive from the Watchers that were considered to be demigods, and that's why there are so many types of gods, then you're going to have a better picture here. But it's everywhere. Everywhere. Seal of Solomon. Swastikas everywhere. Oh, Seal of Solomon. Swastika. Seal of Solomon. This is in India. Oh, look. Swastika. Seal of Solomon. Oh, a Nazi coin. Seal of Solomon. Now, does this make any sense? According to the official narrative, does this make any sense? The Seal of Solomon on the Nazi coin. You flip it over, swastika. Okay. Now, this is where the Seal of Solomon, this hexagram, it's actually a sexagram because of occult magic and sex. That's where this comes from. And the Aryans are attributed to the ones that actually introduced the magic of sex art. Okay, and that's why being very promiscuous has more spiritual residue than people may care to acknowledge. There's nothing new under the sun. So this is actually a representation of sacred geometry. Okay, it has numerous things encoded in this. The top triangle is fire. The bottom triangle is water. The top triangle male, bottom triangle female. That's why they're so obsessed with integrating both of those into one, right? You see Baphomet is always depicted as a tranny. You got as above, so below. So anyway, moving on. This is sacred geometry for someone that doesn't know. It's founded everywhere throughout nature. Sacred geometry. Pineapples, honeycombs, a snail, everywhere. Spiderweb, certain types of plants. It's everywhere. Now, this is an old note. And you see right here what's in the middle, of course. The swastika, this has been demonized, but this goes back very far. And only in modern history has people interpreted it to be a negative thing. And that's what World War II is about. It was about hiding the history of the Aryans, misrepresenting it to be some type of evil ethnic supremacist view, demonizing the swastika. This is because they want to keep the little secret knowledge to themselves. You're not allowed to know it. This is actually a plane from America, 1929, has a swastika on it. Okay, so it's only very recently have people become detached from what this actually means, which again is representative of the sky, and started to think it's associated with some type of evil. Right, this is in America in the early 1900s. This is when people still knew the earth was flat too, by the way. Here's all around the world, swastikas everywhere. Okay, this is nothing to do with Germany, bro. Like Germany, they just track their lineage back to Aryans, right? That's it. That's the only connection. This is not like exclusive to Germany. It's nothing to do with the party that the Nazis represented. This is ancient. It's about the sky. Now, if you draw this somewhere, you're a racist, right? Because anything you're not allowed to talk about has very important esoteric knowledge embedded within. This book right here was in the original 1611 King James in the Apocrypha called The Wisdom of Solomon. Now, if you read through this, you will get a much better understanding of who Solomon really was. Okay, he says stuff like, just pursue everything in the temporal world that you possibly can. Fulfill fleshly desires. That's all that matters. Now, if you just read the canon, you don't understand that Solomon was like this. This tells you that he has a ring, as does other apocryphal books and extra biblical scriptures that's been removed. And it tells you that he had a ring that gave him domain over the demons. I wonder why the Grabblers would revere this guy, right? He was like the most infamous sorcerer and magician to ever exist in modern history. And of course, people predated him, but this is why this was removed, because you'd understand the context of what kind of guy this really was, right? And then, of course, they want to rebuild Solomon's temple, which we have right here, which is over here. See if I can zoom in. There you go. Now you see the two pillars. Of course, we all know about the two pillars and the esoteric importance, and that's always represented with masonry. Interesting enough, if both of these were bar magnets, you can actually position them at the right way where they'll create a magnetic field that vortexes up, and that would be what people call the stairway to heaven. Okay, so this is the importance of this. It has all kinds of esoteric representations with each of the pillars, right? But like the point here is, if you actually use bar magnets, you can create a little vortex up that would be the stairway to heaven. So next time you listen to that song, maybe understand what it's actually talking about. Okay, so now we got a pretty decent foundation. Let's see, super chat. What are you going to do? Flat Earth meetup in West Tennessee? Would love to help with it if you decide to. Yeah, I'm down to do it. Whatever. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Just email me, Whitsit at ProtonMail. We'll set something up. I think I'm supposed to go to one in Middle Tennessee the beginning of December, but I'll let y'all know about that here soon. So we ran through that pretty quick as a foundation. Now, I'm going to show y'all a video. This is actually not about the hexagram, but about the pentagram. And then we'll just watch it, and then I'll explain to you how this has all been gravelled. So let's check it out. This is wild.
Come on. Let's go to ancient Greece, to the time of Pythagoras, the master egghead of them all.
Pythagoras?
The father of mathematics and music.
Mathematics and music?
Ah, you'll find mathematics in the darndest places. Watch. First, we'll need a string. Stretch it good and tight. Plunk it. Now divide in half. Plunk again. You see? It's the same tone, one octave higher. Now divide the next section. And the next. Pythagoras discovered the octave had a ratio of 2 to 1. With simple fractions, he got this.
Did he, though? Again, very hard to validate the historicity of Pythagoras, right? This is the mainstream propagation and acknowledgement of geometry, but they took an entire point out of it, okay, intentionally.
And from this harmony in numbers developed the musical scale of today.
Must be nice.
You can imagine how excited Pythagoras was when he shared his findings with his pals, a fraternity of eggheads known as the Pythagoreans.
Look, the creepy guys are always short.
Secret to discuss their mathematical discoveries. Only members were allowed to attend. They had a secret emblem, the pentagram.
Keep in mind that this was propagated mainstream, right? Okay, they took a whole point out of it. So when you're like, Aleister Crowley, Satanism, pentagram, yeah, that's what they want you to talk about. They don't want you to acknowledge the hexagram, which again is more accurately translated with sexagram.
Let's see what the topic is for today.
Must be nice. Guys, how creepy is this that this was a cartoon? I'm pausing it so I don't get any copyrights, but like, how creepy is this, bro? They're straight up showing children this. They had a little secret cult where only the secret special boys could knew the math, and they all had little pentagrams on their hands so they would know that they're in the club, right? Of course, we know Masonic, secret handshakes, etc.
It was our old friend Pythagoras who discovered that the pentagram was full of mathemagic. The two shorter lines combined exactly equal the third. And this line shows the magic proportions of the famous golden section. The second and third lines exactly equal the fourth. Once again, we have the golden section. But this is only the beginning. Hidden within the pentagram is a secret for creating a golden rectangle, which the Greeks admired for its beautiful proportions.
Of course, I'm sure y'all noticed that's the Gmail symbol right there, right? Boom. It's also symbolic of the aprons they wear, but you see Gmail right there. What's the number one email everyone uses? Gmail.
The Greeks admired for its beautiful proportions and magic qualities. The star contains the golden rectangle many times over. It's a most remarkable shape.
It's the most remarkable shape, children with the most malleable minds ever, with the most corrupt establishment or one of the most corrupt corporations ever, just brainwashing them at a young age. It's just such a sacred shape. The symbolism of Satanism, kids. Soak it up.
It can mathematically reproduce itself indefinitely. All these rectangles have exactly the same proportions. This figure also contains a magic spiral that repeats the proportions of the golden section.
Oh, it's magic.
Into infinity. To the Greeks, the golden rectangle.
Everybody pay attention to this part, which is what I was trying to tell y'all. It's tied into sacred geometry. This extends into the hexagram, the sexagram as well.
This figure also contains a magic spiral that repeats the proportions of the golden section into infinity. To the Greeks, the golden rectangle represented a mathematical law of beauty. We find it in their classical architecture. The Parthenon, perhaps one of the most famous of early Greek buildings, contains many golden rectangles.
Did the Greeks even exist? Did they build this? Or was it maybe like, I don't know, the group of people that were removed? All right, we'll carry on.
Classical architecture. The Parthenon, perhaps one of the most famous of early Greek buildings, contains many golden rectangles. These same golden proportions are also found in their sculpture.
Oh, we got a special boy in the chat. Let me just go ahead and cut this out before this. Okay, this guy right here, I'm giving you your warning, bro. Like, you're not a special boy, and if you don't get out of my chat saying little gay gamma stuff, you're going to get blocked. Okay, no one said that shapes are evil, and yes, I have met evil Masons. They say you're not allowed to recruit them. I've been recruited 3 different times, and most of them are just innocent, dumbed-down people, probably like yourself, that don't actually understand the true esoteric foundation of Masonry. You have to get higher. You get up to the 32nd degree. You can't get to the 33rd degree unless they actually bring you in via invitation and they vote on you. But yes, the actual foundation is esoteric and evil in its very inception. So feel free to get out of my chat with the nonsense. Try and keep up, pull your crayons out, or you will be blocked. There's your warning. Moving on. Must be nice.
In the centuries that followed, the golden rectangle dominated the idea of beauty in architecture throughout the Western world. The Cathedral of Notre Dame is an outstanding example. The Renaissance painters knew this secret well. Think of a pentagram, Donald.
Think of a pentagram, Donald.
Now put another inside, a third, and a fourth. No pencil is sharp enough to draw as fine
Sacred
as your
geometry, you
finger,
see it?
and no paper large enough to hold your imagination. In fact, it is only in the mind that we can conceive infinity. Mathematical thinking has opened the doors to the exciting adventures of science.
Mathematics has opened the doors to the exciting adventures of science, even though those are damn near antithetical, and science has nothing to do with math and abstract language that was constructed by humans to describe things. We find an inherent sacred geometry and pattern that's consistent throughout all creation on the small scale to the big scale. There's, of course, nothing inherently wrong with this. This is actually the mark of the creator, but like always, they take the good, they subvert it, and then invert it backwards, taking it to have some evil esoteric practice.
I'll be doggone. I'm gonna see so many doors before.
Each discovery leads to many others, an endless chain.
What's the matter with these doors? Hey! These doors won't open. They're locked.
Of course they are locked. These are the doors of the future, and the key is...
Mathematics.
right. Mathematics. The boundless treasures of science are locked behind those doors.
They're brainwashing kids. You want to know why we deal with these people on the internet that are like, you don't even understand the science of math proves the globe. They're brainwashing you at a young age to conflate math and science. Science is independent of human constructs. Okay, math is nothing but that.
The boundless treasures of science are locked behind those doors. In time, they will be opened by the curious and inquiring minds of future generations. In the words of Galileo, mathematics is the alphabet with which God has written the universe.
And of course, God is short for Gadriel. Okay, which is the serpent that fell and deceived. So let's just move back over here. Dang, I'm hoping that the little game left. I think he did. So anyway, now this is where it gets interesting, right? So if you keep up, clearly the pentagram is tied into sacred geometry, right? And it showed you how. Probably even the Globers in here could understand it because it was in the form of a little cartoon. So it is a beautiful thing, right? It's very beautiful. The inherent, like the intrinsic harmonic and balanced nature of everything in existence. But just like the Grabblers always do, they can't resist like building up hand cramps and subverting everything, playing dress up in the dark as grown men. All right, they have to subvert everything. Now, what they did was they propagated this, our understanding of geometry and Pythagoras, right? That's mainstream. But they have taken the extra point away, which is two full triangles overlapped, which is where you get the hexagram, again, just the sexagram. They've taken that out. Now, what you need to understand is within the Luciferian doctrine, there's dark and there's light. Okay. Now, when you add the additional point that is light, okay, this is the light path, right? Symbolic of the light path. And then we have the pentagram, which we all know is mainstream associated with the dark path, right? Like infamous Satanists, etc. Right? Now, both of these are very important, and both of these have very important pieces of knowledge embedded within that will help you understand existence itself. But you have to understand the addition of the point transfers over to light, right? And again, this is just masquerading as light. But the whole idea of Masonry is that you are the enlightened one. And this is not exclusive to Masonry, right? This goes into all little special boy cults, right? We got like the Jesuits, we got the Zionists, we got the Masons. Tomato, right? These are different groups within the same Luciferian doctrine, right? And so you have to acquire knowledge and enlightenment so that you can achieve alchemy of oneself, transmutation, reach a peak state of enlightenment so that in theory, eventually, you can actually attain immortality by actually going around God, right? And I discussed this in the last stream. That's the whole trick, right? They think that they can actually attain mortality while still pursuing temporal gain in the flesh, as opposed to being submissive to the one true creator. They can go around it by finding out the tricks, and these tricks track all the way back to the antediluvian civilizations, which just means pre-flood, and these were, of course, the Watchers, right? Atlantis was a very real place. They were referred to all around the world as the sun gods. And then Plato, which did he exist? I don't know. Like the entire Greek story is very, very grabbled and hard to get to the bottom of, right? But like Plato said that this civilization ended in 9500 BC. Again, you can never trust their timelines, and you can never trust the people they prop up to tell you anything. This even goes all the way to Tesla, as sad as that is to say. You always have to be very skeptical of the prominent people. You know, like we got Pythagoras, Plato, Aristotle. But the point is, Plato said the destruction of that civilization came from the fact that they ended up intertwining themselves with humans, right? Like human women. Okay. And that once they did that, that ended up resulting in their downfall. Well, that's true, but it leaves out the fact that was their actual original motivation for coming down in the first place. Okay, was to take the women on earth as wives. And of course, they bore giants. Then you have the Nephilim, and then it keeps going down. They get smaller and smaller as they continue to give birth, right? So this is one of the major secrets here. And this ties back to the Aryan race. And this is why this group of people was removed from you. The Aryan race was removed from you. So when they go around and they have this Star of David on their chest, okay, and they constantly propagate this as to mean some modern conception of Judaism or representation of Judaism, it is not. It is not. It long predates this. This is the Seal of Solomon, and it predates him. Okay, but that's the one they focus on. So most of you people have probably heard of the Knights of Templar. Well, that comes from the Order of Solomon. So they want to rebuild the third temple. Well, specifically, they want to rebuild Solomon's temple. Okay, now we all know Solomon had a huge, magnificent temple, and people brought in precious metals from all around the world. We're told specifically in the scriptures he got 666 talents of gold a year. Okay, they want to rebuild that final temple. He again had a ring that gave him domain over the demons. Now that's where the story of Lord of the Rings come from. That's what that book was written about, and that's what the movie's about. It's about the ring that gave him power over all of the demons. They worship him. He's their ultimate secret king. Okay, that's the ultimate secret king that they worship. Now, it's not as much that they worship the physical figure, the physical human, right? They worship the spirit of enlightenment that he possessed. Okay, and so that's what Lord of the Rings comes from, and the Seal of Solomon is what the Star of David comes from. And then it says again. Let's just look at it. What does the Bible say? Because let God be truth and every man a liar. Yeah. All right. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Alexandria, for example, her take is this is actually acknowledged throughout the scriptures as a spiritual thing when it comes to God to have his mark. But I strongly disagree that as it refers to the end, it's just a spiritual, metaphysical, not literal mark. This is because we are told in Revelation that there's actually a mark for like God's mark also, right? And that it will be on their forehead. So it's a literal engraving. It's a mark. And if you look at the etymology of the word, it's literally engraved. Okay, it's an actual mark. Okay, so I disagree on that part, but she's on point with all the rest of it. And I could be wrong. I don't know everything. I'm just some dude. Use your own discernment and pray about it. But the etymology does clearly say referring to a physical mark. And that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark. Does that sound familiar enough? You don't wear a mask, you can't go in those stores. Now they're just normalizing the idea of having to cut to some type of identifier. Now, that doesn't mean that like the world ends tomorrow. I'm making no predictions like that. This could be a very long process, but nevertheless, they have normalized people walking in stores and getting scanned, their forehead scanned. Okay, with the, like, oh, what's your temperature? They scan people's forehead as they come in. You actually have to have an identifier or a mark to buy or sell, and certainly in many big places. Now, you can still buck the system. I haven't wore a face diaper in any stores the whole time this has been going on. I've never been kicked out of one. I know people that have been, but whatever, suck it up, bro. The point is, they are setting the groundwork for this. Okay, and 2020 is a very important year when it comes to the sky. They watch the sky. They know that it shows you signs and wonders. So anyway, or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. How does this get skipped over by so-called Christians? Like, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind, right? Like, it's right in front of you. Here's wisdom. Let him who hath understanding. And I guess that's how it gets skipped over, because these so-called Christians don't have understanding. They don't even understand the descriptions of creation in the scriptures. They've been and twisted. Okay, so this seems to be something that's out of our control, where God has put this veil, this block there. Like, you're not going to be able to understand it because you don't truly believe. That I hate to be that guy, but whatever. So anyway, here is wisdom. Let him who hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And again, what man has that number? Only one person, Solomon, 2 different times in the scriptures. Okay, 666. That's the only one. It's the only one. So the whole trick is they gave you the canon. It has 66 books. And if you just read that without the context of everything else and the extra biblical text, like, I don't know, the book that he wrote himself, maybe, right? That was in the apocryphal text. You might think he's a benevolent character. You won't fully understand, right? But he was extremely evil for most of his life. And he writes in his own words, like, dude, just get drunk, go get high, sleep with as many women as you can, get as many wives as you want to, get all the precious metals you can, live it up in the moment, a very materialistic worldview. It's all about temporal gain and cucking or adhering to the fleshly desires. And that has nothing to do with Yah, right? Like, that's the opposite of God's commandments. It's the exact opposite. And that's why they think it's so funny. You don't realize what they're doing. You don't realize what seal they've already started to propagate. So now, if there's a figure that arises and it leads a certain group of people and takes over the whole world under the promise of peace and prosperity, and there's a marker for it, and there's already a group of people that are far along the race of disproportionately controlling things in the world, like everything in the world, and they have a mark that they represent, and that mark is the Seal of Solomon, but they don't call it that, so you don't know where it goes. They call it the Star of David, even though it has nothing to do with David. Then hopefully you're putting the pieces together, and this comes back to this, which is every single Hebrew letter fits in here. Now, there's nothing wrong. Hebrew, there's definitely nothing wrong with that language. This has been subverted. This is what the devil always does. This is what Lucifer always does, right? He always subverts what is good as the little secret king, and he tries to take it for himself. So he gave you a whole creation story that was for him alone, right? Like a whole different creation story. He had his own representation of creation, and you believe his story, right? With everything, okay? So he's done the same thing with this inherent sacred geometry, the golden ratio, Fibonacci sequence, God's fingerprint, whatever you want to call it. He's subverted this. He's absorbed it as his own and acted as if it represents him. And then whenever these little special boys in their mystery schools and their secret teachings, they start to understand the importance of this sacred geometry and how it connects to everything. And of course, you can actually fold, just like you saw in the video, you can fold that into a cube. This is where it ties into the black cube and Saturn, right? All of this is in plain sight, and that's how they do it. Because in order to cast a spell or to have like sufficient control over people, you must actually put the truth out in the open. You cannot cast a spell onto someone with magic with a K unless that person, the recipient, is actually intentionally receptive of it. They must allow it. This comes back to the natural law of attraction. They think that they remove repercussions if you agree to it. Okay, like if you do it to yourself. So if they tell you straight to your face that a passport popped out of fire and it just happened to be the one terrorist and we were able to go get them that day, and you believe that, you start tricking yourself to believe that. Whenever I play the moon landing video with Chuck Norris just taking everybody out, and someone watches that and they're like, this must make sense. I'm going to make this make sense even though it defies physics. You're tricking yourself. And once you trick yourself, then they don't feel like they have any repercussions. And the truth is, I don't know, do they? Do they have any? Right? Now, they have metaphysical repercussions. They will answer to God, but they don't think they will, right? Because the whole point is they think that Lucifer's got their back. They're that naive, even though he will devour them and turn on them in a heartbeat, right? And he thinks that they don't have to worry about what God's going to hold them accountable for. Okay, so that's the whole trick. Clearly, the mark appears to be the seal of Solomon, and that's the number of his name, 666. They tell you it's the Star of David. This tracks all the way back to the Aryan race. I don't want to get too much into that gravy. I really wish that I was going on D-Love. I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to get too much into that gravy because I'm going to do another stream on that specific, right? But that's where Knights of Templar come from. Again, it's the Order of Solomon. And this is because he was a magician. He was a sorcerer, right? And he had tons of precious metals, very wealthy, tons of wives, huge, magnificent temple. They want to rebuild his temple. Now, this all ties back to Nimrod, which we'll do another stream on that to be more specific. I've actually done one on my channel before. But that basically, there's already been a one world order, right? Nimrod, Osiris, Apollo, Gilgamesh, the man of many names, right? He took over the whole world. There was already a one world order. Now, God then broke them up and they went to different places with the Tower of Babel, right? And that's why you got different names for the same characters. Osiris and Isis, all these people have different names all around the world because they were broken up into different languages. They're all telling the same story. They're all referring to the same person. They want to bring about the New World Order 2.0. And so they've got to do all of these occultic rituals. You wonder why they do all these rituals. They're thinking they're going to bring about their age of enlightenment where they'll be the special boys and Nimrod comes back. Okay, so it's very simple. Hopefully that puts some stuff together. We know who the son of perdition is, the one in the bottomless pit, Apollyon. Yeah, there you go. What's the mark that represents him? But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm afraid to go any further because I don't want to go too close into the Aryan thing without being able to really break it down. I had someone request to give my take on the whole Q thing. So Owen had said, I agree 100% with what Owen was saying that, Cambridge Analytica, they started gaining gathering intel and data, like running logistics on the more dangerous group of people, right? Meaning the dangerous to their plans, the ones that have morality, that's not just going to sell out for money. And so they had to find a way to keep them compliant during this major psyop that the most major psyop we've experienced in modern history, where they made everyone wear a mask, stay in their house and not leave or go anywhere and shut everything down and obey the government because they're scared of air, right? How would you pull that off with the people that believe in God, right? And they don't cuck to the government. How do you pull it off? Well, you find out the kind of stuff that they want to hear. They used their kindness as weakness, and they used their want to protect children against them. So just like he said, they found out, for example, they started hating Mitt Romney, right? They started questioning Israel. They started questioning the moon landing. They started questioning the government as a whole, started questioning pedophilia. They started questioning all of these things. And so they gave you the Q psyop to keep those people compliant so that they could bring about this huge Holocaust psyop. And that's what it was for. Now, I'll expand beyond that. That is not all the Q psyop is. In my opinion, the Q psyop predominantly it extends into implementing the update of infrastructure. So in order to ultimately have a new world order. Now, people say the new world order is already here. In many ways, it is, but it is not completely here. It not even close, right? Again, there's already been one world order, and that was when Nimrod took over. That has not happened again, bro. We do not have a full new world order again. It has not happened yet. They're actually laying the groundwork for this as we speak. And they've ramped it up. As we can all tell, 2020 has been crazy, okay? So what Q PSYOP is pertaining to that is to keep that group of people that would typically be the first ones to buck the system, not trust the government, know that they're pedophiles and creepy, crazy grabblers, allegedly, right? So they had to keep them happy, and they did this with Trump, and they did this with the Q PSYOP. This is so that whenever they come in to update the infrastructure, not only will those group of people be compliant and complicit with it, they will actually demand it. Okay, so if they throw you a few breadcrumbs here and there about pedophiles going down, personally, I think a couple prominent people will supposedly go down for being pedophiles. They probably really are pedophiles, and the grabblers don't care about them. You think they care about like Tom Hanks? I don't know anything. I don't know who it is. I'm not predicting who it is or whatever, but they're going to give you some prominent actor, some prominent figure, or even a politician or two. And they're going to say, look, these people are pedophiles. And people are like, I told you, Q's real. Q's real. Yeah, this is not a popular opinion. Many people think that none of it's ever going to appear to come true, and this was all just to keep you compliant. That's very possible. That's what they've achieved so far, but I just make my predictions the way that I see them using the pattern recognition that I've put together. I do not think it's over yet. They're going to keep on making it look like they're getting closer to this huge draining of the swamp. The swamp will never be drained, bro. Right? Trump is the swamp, bro. That creepy little grabbler is a Zionist puppet, a Jesuit puppet, went to a Jesuit school, got bailed out by the Rothschilds for $4.8 billion. He literally, the most invasive totalitarian measurements of government ever happened under his clock, right? Like under his watch. And people think, oh, that's no big deal, right? Like, oh, Trump's trying to fight it. You can't. No, that's how they pulled it off, was putting Trump in there and combining it with the Q psyop. The next step is they're going to update the election system. They had to create this whole entire psyop to show you how fraudulent it was because they want a new system. Because the truth of the matter is politics don't matter. It's illusion of choice. Red and blue make purple, and that's the color of royalty. They're just laughing at everyone. This goes back to Joseph Goebbels, lays it out very simply, and this goes back thousands of years. It's the Hegelian dialectic. But the truth is that when you go and you vote on a piece of paper and your local governments count them, that part's real. That part's real. On the local scale, they really do count votes. You really do go out there and write your vote on a piece of paper. They really do count them. Now, of course, beyond that, it's super corrupt as they tally the votes and they represent it with electoral votes and on the federal level and all this nonsense. All grabbled, all an illusion. And of course, it doesn't even matter because both the people you are allowed to vote for were put into place. Okay, so that's why your vote doesn't matter. And have you ever realized, of course, you cast your votes. Okay, you cast votes. What else do you cast? You cast spells. And that's why the English language was their final Grabble project. I was saying this on Discord last night. It's their final Grabble project, right? The English language. They've flooded it with esoteric little Grabbler meanings, okay? That's why we spell words. That's why we write in cursive. That's why you say curse word. That's why when you watch TV, there's channels, because what are you channeling, right? It's programming you. Tell, lie, vision. Every part of the English language has been embedded with different layers of wizardry, okay? And so you cast your vote. So you are now partaking in an occultic ritual. That's just the way it is. Here we go with the freaking light again. You're casting your votes. And this it extends into December 14th. If I'm not mistaken, this year, there's an eclipse on the day of casting your electoral vote, December 14th. Well, that's probably just a coincidence, right? Which actually, I like what he said today, too. He's like, coincident. Yeah, it is a coincidence, right? But anyway, yeah, it's probably just a coincidence, right, that the eclipse falls on this day. I don't know, but that's pretty crazy. And I'm not saying they set that up. I'm saying God is in control of all. And God's definitely in control of the sky. And the sky is for signs and wonders. And so as they go to cast their electoral vote on December 14th, there's going to be an eclipse in the sky. And no one's going to take heed. No one's going to pay attention. They're just going to ignore it. Okay? But the sky's for signs and wonders. It's one of the main reasons they had to detach you from fully understanding what the sky was. I tell you it's empty vacuum where giant gas planets in a vacuum just spin around each other and all this crazy nonsense, and that they're spherical terra firma when they're clearly not. And of course, Enoch tells you, like we were covering, there are 7 rebellious angels that buck the system. Every angel, the stars are angels. That's what Enoch says. And that they're given and appointed a certain path and trajectory, but a few of them bucked the system. Now, not the 200 that fell down. They bucked the system. We're talking about another group that stayed up there, the luminaries, but they wanted to do their own thing. So once they bucked the system and didn't go on the assigned path, they were then put into chains. They have to stay there in a different section. And there's 7 of them. Well, how many planets do they say there are? They say that there are 8, right? but that Earth is one of them. Of course, we know that's not true because, well, the Earth is a geocentric stationary plane. We've already proven that, and it's literally impossible for it to be anything other than that. But there are no actual planets of terra firma or anything, right? But have you ever noticed that every single planet other than the Earth is called a deity? Every one of them are named after a deity. Earth isn't, though. That's probably just another coincidence, right? And then Enoch tells you they will become so deluded in the end, they will actually revere and worship and deify the wandering stars. And that's what planet means. The etymology means wanderer. That's all they are, is wandering stars. Okay, so the sky is very important, and they detach you from the importance of the sky. And then we're not looking for the signs and wonders. We're not taking heed to them, or at least many people are not. Again, so December 14th, apparently we have an eclipse on that day. We just had an eclipse last night. This has been, one of the most active years in the sky ever. We have that eclipse coming up, and then we just had an eclipse. We have another eclipse coming up. Then we have the winter solstice and a solar minimum, like the most significant solar minimum, like, from my understanding, like ever, like in recordable history, right? And so the sky is trying to tell you people something, and people are ignoring it. So anyway, you go to December 14th, and part of the Q PSYOP right now is, of course, to keep everybody happy and compliant with a new updated infrastructure. Not only compliant, but to actually demand the solution they have via the Hegelian dialectic problem reaction solution. So this is all to justify updating the election system. Now, I've covered this when I first came back. They had this set up years ago. The Pentagon was looking for contractors. They said that they were shopping for contracts, but they knew the whole time who was going to be it. But of course, they landed on no other than Microsoft. They signed this deal in like 2019. They're going to implement this new electronic protection system. So it's going to supposedly prevent any possibility of fraudulent behavior or activity within the election. I think that there's a few ways they go completely electronic. I think that's very unlikely. I think that they actually go back to full paper system, like everyone's votes on paper and counted. So people think there's no way it can be corrupted. And then we have a new electronic safety net put on top of it via Microsoft so that the new paper ballots are counted, and that there's a protection of an encryption with this new software the Pentagon has assigned a deal with Microsoft to implement. And really, that's, of course, going to give a monolith of control over it. And this is because your say does matter, but the votes don't matter because the entire thing is a facade. But they want more 100% control over every aspect of it. This is to justify the updating of the election system by showing the whole nation it can very easily be corrupted. So the people on the right are like, oh man, they stole it from Trump. And then the people on the left are like, oh, Trump is stealing it from Biden. So they're all going to be on the same page that we need a new system. And anytime they have all the people on the same page, that's when they're making their move. So they're doing this just to justify the election system update. Trump moonwalks back in, one of the biggest wins ever. That's still my prediction. I could be wrong about that, but I'm like 90% sure that's what happens. Okay, so this was all set up. They're going to wait till the last minute to make it as dramatic as possible, and they're going to let you know that it flipped. And then everyone's going to cheer. The crazy people with dyed green hair and a bunch of piercings are going to run down the street naked, screaming, thinking that's protesting, start burning, rioting. And they intentionally want the major metropolitan areas to burn to the ground because they want to update the infrastructure of those cities too, make them smart cities or whatever. Every part of this is a plan. This is all script. This is not chaotic. Now, at the same time, I do know that they have a very intricate script, but like they're not in complete control. Like they're constantly updating. We give them a little bit too much credit. Like they don't really have that much power. Like this is the awakening going on. It's way beyond them. That's because God's making that happen. God's in control. So they do definitely make very intricate, meticulous scripts, right? And they are pulling strings all over the place. None of this is random. At the same time, they're actually not completely in control, and they're kind of freaking out right now. That's why they're going 0 to 100, because God has started to rise people up, rise an army up, and this is actually what brought me back to God. God was telling me that, and I know that may sound crazy to some of you, but whatever. So they're kind of panicking because there is an awakening. So what do? You try to guide the awakening, and that's what the real Q Anon PSYOP is for. But this is just a small portion, right? The PSYOP is much bigger than Q. Q just gets like a small percentage of the population, the ones that were waking up. So then say that 20%, maybe even 25, 30% of the country was starting not to trust the government, like to a staggering extent. And then there was all kinds of corruption. Well, they got 25 of the 30% believing in Q, right? So the diet woke, getting woke people, they got captured with the safety net. Okay, so now we got 5% of people that can see through it. Now, we might even lower that percentage when they throw you a few breadcrumbs, right? A bone here and there, making you think that the QAnon psyop is real. Anyway, so I know I'm going pretty fast and sporadic, but it just is what it is. So hopefully I can keep up. All right, so December 14th appears to be eclipse. That's where they go and they cast their electoral vote. If anyone doesn't know, you have electoral representatives from each state. They go and vote on behalf of your state. That's December 14th. At least typically, no telling what's going to happen this year. But I don't know. Maybe they try to move it because the eclipse is on that day. That would still be a sign. Like, look, this is normally when this happens. You know, God trying to give us a sign, but no one wants to listen. This is where it gets crazy. Someone asked me, like, but why do they start it? Like, why do they make it last for so long, right? Like, why does it go from December 14th all the way through to January 9th, where they count the electoral votes, and then January 20th, where they do the inauguration speech? Because, again, you cast your vote. This is an occultic ritual that you partake in when you vote. And the occultic ritual is a rise of Osiris ritual. This is in reverence to Osiris, Nimrod, Gilgamesh, Apollo, the man of many names. Okay, Nimrod, right? That's what this is all about. So that's why it comes through Christmas. Now they tell you that Christmas is about the birth of Yeshua when he was actually born on 9/11, which they associated trauma with 9/11, right? They show you this false flag where apparently, you know, planes go through buildings and passports come out of fire, and office fires make buildings free fall collapse. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if we're ever going to 9/11, you're crazy. But anyway, they've associated trauma with 9/11. What number do you call in America whenever you have to call the cops? You call 9/11. All right, or 911. Well, that's because that's actually Yeshua's birthday. They've inverted it as opposed to, you know, having gratitude for the birth of the Messiah. You've associated it with negative connotation, very traumatic events, right? And that's his actual birthday. Now, they told you that on Christmas, December 25th, that's when we're celebrating Yeshua's birthday. They tell you to put the Christmas trees in there, which was a pagan practice, and we're actually warned not to do that, putting all kinds of precious metals on there. And this was a festivity based on winter solstice. And the birth of Nimrod. So when people think that they're actually celebrating Yeshua's birthday on December 25th, they are not. It actually stems from Nimrod's birthday. They're called holidays, Holly, right? That has nothing to do with God. Okay, he gave us certain festivals, and they have nothing to do with the modern holidays, okay? Nothing. Everything is inverted. Everything. So when you think you're celebrating Yeshua's birthday, which you can, like, God knows your intention supersedes everything, right? But that is not the point. The point is that you're partaking in pagan practices, and they've inverted everything. And so they got everyone agreeing to be on the same page during the same time of these holidays. So again, this is all an occultic ritual, revering Nimrod, the entire election, picking your president thing. December 14th all the way to January 20th, of course, that goes through Christmas, and that is about Nimrod. And no one seems to understand or know that. It really kind of blows my mind. And so dude, they start it, and then you cast your votes. The electorals cast their votes, right? So November 3rd, everyone casts their votes, and then the electorals cast their votes December 14th. Then everyone doesn't realize that they're actually celebrating Nimrod's birthday. They pray to Lord, dear Lord, which is actually directly translated to Bel, which is the devil. Okay, and then they pray to God, which is the abbreviation for Gadriel, which is actually the serpent that came down and deceived. Again, everything's inverted. So God is about Gadriel, Lord is about Bel, Lucifer, the devil, the opposite of God. And then you continue on, and you get to January 9th, and then you get to January 20th. That's why it extends for months all the way through while they're worshiping Nimrod. Okay. And then you have your inauguration speech. This is actually an occultic practice where you're at least building up for or intending to bring about Nimrod, the resurrection of Nimrod. That's why they do this in Washington, D.C., right around the Washington Monument, which is a phallus symbol, 6,660 inches, 666 inches, right? It was built for this very purpose. What's underneath it, there's no telling. There's no telling what's underneath it. And that's why when you watch very intricately what the presidents do, whenever they do their inauguration speech, it's super creepy. Go look at Trump's. Trump does this like at least 500 times. Doesn't even make sense when he does it. He is partaking in a spell. He's casting a spell. It's a ritual. That's why he's just like, you know, someone's going to chop this up, bunch of losers, but every few seconds, right? He's casting a spell. The inauguration speech is a rise of Osiris ritual. Okay. And that's why whenever they had the Apollo mission, and they celebrated the 50th year anniversary of the Apollo missions, they projected a rocket. What does a rocket look like? It looks a lot like a temple or something being built to the sky. Yeah, which you can look at the Disney logo. Of course, it has the firmament and then the temple going through the top of it. Okay, so they projected a rocket on the 50th anniversary of Apollo, which is again another name for Nimrod, okay, because they got broken up during the Tower of Babel, spoke different languages and called the same guy different names. They cast the Apollo rocket onto the Washington Monument, which is a phallus symbol representing the mythology of Osiris when he got dismembered into 13 pieces, but they couldn't find his penis. So then they went and made a gold penis. That's what the phallic symbol represents, is the actual anatomy of their deity they revere, known as Nimrod, Gilgamesh, men of many names. You come into January 20th, and that's the climactic end of the ritual about Osiris. So that's why it extends so far, and that's what all this is to update the system and to put a whole bunch of attention, more attention than ever, onto this charade that has nothing to do with your vote counting for freedom in America. It has nothing to do with that. They're getting everyone's eyes onto this. So that means they think they're getting closer and closer to the resurrection, and they want everyone's attention on it, on this rise of Osiris ritual. And they've gotten everyone looking at it, okay, and it's more than ever. And then again, the whole Q thing is to justify updating the infrastructure. So that's how they're going to update the election infrastructure. They're going to update the monetary infrastructure. They're going to update the media infrastructure. They're going to update social media. They're going to make you think that Trump's draining the swamp, which, of course, perfect setting to reset the system. Who better than Donald Trump to reset that? We have 20-something trillion dollars in debt, right? Better than the best businessman ever, right? And the art of the deal. He's going to jubilees, reset our debt, introduce a new monetary system. It'll be gold back, represented by some type of cryptocurrency. But who could ever pull it off than Donald Trump himself? And yeah, there you go. That's one of the main things that they're going to set up, and it's been scripted for a long time. This is them making their major moves, and no one realizes what's going on. And so when they reset the system, I would probably start to pay very close attention. You should probably already. Here you go. I just bullet styled you, but y'all be all right. Y'all think the Antichrist is here? I don't know. I don't like to make claims like that. Is this special boy still in my chat? You're in the wrong saloon, bro. Where's this guy at? This guy right here. All right, I'll block him if no one else is going to block him. I gave him a warning. Block this dude, please. He's in the wrong saloon. He can't handle the gravy. He's a little special boy. You're a squirt boy, huh? I can see your search history from here, bro. Just so you know, most of them are actually tranny, so joke's on you. He's probably just squirting 27 times a day, just brain numb, nihilistic moron that thinks the Earth is a magic spinning cartoon ball that defies physics, yet says flat earthers are stupid and stalks my freaking channel. Tower of Babel. Or Babel. Yeah. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed all that. Yeah, it does. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. And again, what will be the mark that represents all of this, right? There you go. There you go. The Seal of Solomon. This is, I'll go through the pictures again. This is all around the world. This is right here. You see it? This is representing secret geometry, right? That's what this is all about. This is two triangles laid over each other that can actually turn into a cube. Here you go. I guess we're zoomed in, huh? I mean, this is all around the world. This has nothing to do with the Star of David. This is much deeper than that. Everywhere. It's everywhere, bro. What is this? Does this have something to do with Judaism? I don't think so. What is this guy doing, bro? What a creepy little picture here. All over the world. This little guy, this dude didn't even exist, dude. Who is this dude? Look at the pseudoscience back here. What an idiot. Got the snake coming around. You got the freaking symbol, and I've already showed you all this, but all over the world. Oh, the Nazis, they hate the Star of David, so they printed it on their own coin. Everywhere. It's all throughout it. They're subverting the inherent harmonic nature of existence itself. Oh, swastika's so bad that it was in America on American planes in the early 1900s. Oh, all around the world, everyone knew about it. Look at all these different places. We got Israel. I don't even know how to pronounce most of these. Japan, Ethiopia, Aztec, Korea, Iran, Italy. Of course, Iran directly translates to Aryan. They changed the name because of them tracking back the lineage to Aryans, which is why, did you know that like 50% of all exports or all imports in Iran at the time came from Germany? And that's why America went and attacked them, even though they publicly acknowledged that they were neutral. But Germans were trying to help them understand their lineage better. And so they gave them like the 700 pieces of literature that they had that could help them better understand the connection they had to the Aryan race. This is why these people are demonized to this day. Again, Iran means Aryan, literally. That's what it literally means. That's why most of them have green and blue eyes. And so that's why they're demonized. What group of people is it that they are still all honing in on to this day? Iran. So there you go. There's my take on all that. I'm probably about to get out of here, though. I definitely just machine gun style y'all. Sorry about that, but it's the best way for me to get my thoughts out coherently. I don't think I missed any super chats. Sorry if I did. I don't see any, though. I'll read y'all's chats for a little bit, and I'll make it out of here. I was getting down this year. Friends of the loss. God bless you too, bro. Karen B's a legend. Go show her some love on YouTube. Bob the legend, obviously. Gracias. Maybe they can't bear the thought of being wrong. Hey, man, let the dead bury the dead. We don't got time for those people anymore, to be honest with you. Like, we don't got time for this guy right here. We just don't. He's just completely useless. Thank you. Ladles of gravy. Thanks. Gracias. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, but what someone said Pythagoras, I do not think. Did the Greeks even exist? I don't know. Did the Greeks even really exist? Y'all have fun with that one, because I do not think so. You know, this just goes into all the architecture they falsely attribute to certain civilizations that aren't actually theirs. But pay close attention to the sky. I'm gonna get out of here though. I asked Simon Den to debate you. He said he cannot debate. Yeah, he's never going to debate me, dude. Yeah, cool, man. I'm going to do some more streams on some related subjects. I don't want to, like, go too much into them without, like, you know, really doing them justice. But, again, like I always say, seek and speak truth unequivocally. Weak people always get together. They try to attack the stronger people. Just take that as a badge of honor. If you want to support, Cash App in the description. And I'll shout y'all out. If you do, yeah, I'm trying to find out a way where y'all don't have. I can read live time if you want to support the channel, but not have y'all grabble by 33%. I don't want to make the grabblers any more money, to be honest. But we'll figure it out. Who cares? Life's about more than money. Even though the freaking government has cut into my income by like 50%. So how about all of you guys, if y'all can do me a favor, maybe get people to stop cucking to the government, right? And like just dismantling us small business owners where it's hard to even like survive. You know, that would be great. But yeah, anyway, like I said, just speak truth, man. It's not gonna necessarily get easier, but just take pride in the fact that you're part of the people that have been woken up, and God's raising an army to speak the truth, and you know, put logos over everything, dude, and just detach from the temporal fleshly desires, bro. So yeah, unplug from the box, metaphorical, ideological box, smash the Rogans up, help us break the algorithms, and we'll catch up with y'all mañana. Peace.
That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sippin' pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in the field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They forcing misinfo that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature that mean extorted it. They forging it. If news ain't good informants who informing them, there's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we porting ships, important gifts. Of course it is, but extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks we ignoring, which informing this, informant this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting say they high, say they sippin' pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field. That's for Israel. Wonder, is it real?